So many times I say, and I'm sure that you heard this from me, because I say this every year, Shavuos. Shavuos is the only one of the Shalosh Hakonim that doesn't have mitzvahs. Sukkot, we have two gewaldige mitzvahs, Lulav and Sukkah. Pesach, we have tons of mitzvahs. Leila Seder, Isser Chametz, Mitzvahs Matzah, Bedika, Bitul, gewaldige Sugyas. Shavuos, we don't have any mitzvahs. And that is why minhagim have center stage, Shavuos. And Shavuos, we have two minhagim. One minig is Leil Shavuos, being up all night and learning Torah. The other one is blinches. Seems to be asymmetrical. How do these two minhagim fit in? How do they fit in? They do. Because the Gemara in Pesachim Sameches, Rabbi Yochanan says there's a stira between two psukim. Atzeres laHashem, Atzeres lochem. There's a machlokes in the Gemara. Rabbi Gamliel says, not Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkoner says, everyone could choose. Yoshev v'shoina, or Yoshev v'oichel v'shoisa. You could choose to have the entire Yom Tov Simchas HaNefesh, learning Torah, or Simchas HaGuf. Rabbi Shua ben Hanania says no. No, that's not reasonable. Chetzio l'Hashem v'chetzio lachem. If anybody would ask us, which of the Sholosh Regalim, everybody would agree that you could learn all day and all night, we would say, Shavuos. Why? Yom Shabo Nitna Torah. And that's counterintuitive. The Gemara says, Hakol moidem ba'atzeres de be'ina be'inam elochem. My tame, same reason we would quote, Yom Shabo Nitna Torah. And that is why you can eat and drink, even according to Rabbi Eliezer, you're not allowed to learn all day. Pesach, go ahead. Sukkot, go ahead. Learn all day. Shavuos, no. Why? Kosev Rashi. Laharois, to show, to prove, shenoyach umekubel olav yom zeh shebo nitna Torah. Laharot lemi. Laharot means showing. Whom do we want to show? It's not Persuma Nissa. Rashi writes, Laharois, shenoyach v'mekolav, that this is a happy day. And that's why, Beina beinam elochem. My feeling is Laharois to our children. They shouldn't grow up with a misconception that being a Ben Torah is not a very happy life. It's a life of difficulty, but it's what we need to do because we want Olam Haba. No. We want our kids to appreciate that being a Ben Torah is not only about Olam Haba, it's about Olam Hazeh. It's about Olam Hazeh. It's about the happiest life you could ever choose. Laharois, shenoyach v'mekubel olav. The Degel Machne Ephraim. Does anybody know who was the Degel Machne Ephraim? Who was he? An anicle of the Beshem Tov, and I'm one of his most important Talmidim. In Pashas B'Shalach he writes, Almo Avodah Oretz, Alozva Misterosi, twice in Shas, Bov Metzia Nedorim, Dovazan Nishalach HaChomim Lenavim, according to the Gers of the Bach, Malachi Ashoris, and they did not know. Till HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Al Oza Misterosi, Shalei Baruch Hu B'Torah Techila. They didn't say Bersa Torah. So the Degel writes, I heard from my great-grandfather, they didn't say Vaharevno. That was the problem. V'zapele. The Degel Machne Ephraim writes it's a pele. And it is a pele. Because Vaharevno is the lesser of the three brachas. The Gemara says, Hamu'ule sheba brachas is Asher B'chabanu. Number 2 is Bersa Mitzvah. Vaharevno is a brachas muchalechaveto. So why did the Baal Shem Tov say it was about Vaharevna? That was the chorm. Libi yoimali. And I think it's a emes. The Bach and the Taz and Simem Zayin and everyone else struggles with the Gemara. Shalei bochu b'Torah Tchila. Bavli Yom Edav Tes, Yerushalmi Yom Edav Dalid, the Gemara says, Bayis Rishon Chorav Gimel Avedas Chamusha B'Torah. It's not about Birchas HaTorah, it's about Avodah Zorah, Gili Arayis, Shvichas Damim. My feeling is, everybody knew what caused the Chorban. Because you can't hide Avodah Zorah, Shvichas Damim, and Gili Arayis. They were everywhere. The big question is, how did this happen? How did we lose generations? How did we lose our kinderach? How could there possibly be a Yiddish roitzeach? Gimel Samonim yesh bo umezu, the Gemara says in Yevamah Zayin Tes, Lachmonim, Beishonim, Gom Lechasodim. How could there be a Yid, a Oived Avodah Zorah, when a Kodesh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, V'gam b'cho yaminu li olam? How did this tragedy befall us? That was the question nobody knew to answer. Till HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Lo Baruch Hu b'Torah tchila. And that is why the Baal Shem Tov said, they didn't say V'harevno. And their kinderlach didn't see Simchas HaTorah and Simchas HaMitzvah. All they saw was Omol, Yagia, poverty. They didn't see joy in the family. What was lacking was V'harevno, Simchas HaTorah. And that is why they lost their kids. And that is why Hakal Moedim Batzeres the Be'ina Namolchem Laharois. Laharois, to show. To show to whom? To show to our youngsters. They should see what Simchas HaTorah is, what Simchas HaMitzvah is. They should appreciate that the home of a Ben Torah should be the happiest home in the world, the happiest place in the universe. Last week I was in America. And I went to see a person. I was told he's extremely rich, fabulously rich. And we had a conversation. It wasn't about money. And he asked me how many kids I have. I said, I have 7 children. How many grandchildren do you have? A lot. And then I asked him, how many kids do you have? And he says, I have 5 children, 4 boys and a girl. And he says, none of them are married yet. And he's my age. And he says, so my daughter is engaged to a Sephardi boy in Israel. I'm not very happy about it. And he says, my dream is to have a grandchild. So all the money in the world can't give him happiness. I had so much rachmanis on this person. His dream is to have a grandchild. My dream is to have a great grandchild. Yibadati cheshbon exactly, but so living the Torah way is the happiest life. It's the best choice you could ever make. But our kids need to appreciate this, and they need to feel it, and they need to see it. So the Baal Shem Tov, B'oimek Chochmosoi, said, there was a lack of V'harevna, and that is not the direct sibba of Chorban HaBayis, but sibas HaSibba. The Maral always talks about sibas HaSibba. The original sibba that brought about Chorban HaBayis is Shaloi Bochu B'Torah Techila, and then they lose their generations. And that is why, yes, Blinches is part of Shavuos. It is part of Simcha. Laharois, Shenoyach v'Makubal, Hakal Moedim Batzeres the Be'ina Beinam Alochem. So I told this many times. I remember one of my last visits with my great Rebbe, the Kloisenberger Rebbe, many years ago. I visited him in Union City, and he was very weak at the time. And as I walked in, he surprised me. And he asked a question. He said, the Torah says many times, Eretz Zovas Cholav Dvash. Cholav before Dvash. But the Pasuk in Shir Hashirim says, Dvash v'cholav tachas l'shoynech. So why here is Cholav before Dvash, and here Dvash is before Cholav? I was taken aback because he was always the one to answer questions and not to ask. But I responded, as Chazal teach us, Talmidechu anan v'memechu anushoisim, but he insisted, do you have a thought? And I said, I do. And I said, when it comes to actual cholav in Devash, Shevach ha'oretz, cholav is far more important and essential than Devash. Without cholav, there could be no humankind. Tinoi kayonik mishdei imoi. Without cholav, there would be no mammals. And this planet will be ruled by the reptiles and amphibians, the crocs and the snakes. It wouldn't be a very friendly place. I don't know whether you know what reptiles and amphibians are and mammals. Without Devash, we could get along. Our biggest problem would be the tapuach beleil Rosh Hashanah. What do we do with the tapuach if we don't have Devash? When I spoke to the Kloiser Magrebi, I didn't present it exactly as I do now. let me make this clear. My sprach wasn't the same, but the idea was the same. So when we're talking about actual cholav and dvash, cholav always comes before dvash. But dvash v'cholav tachas shoynech, this pasuk refers to Torah. When es kommt to Torah, you always need to put the dvash before the cholav. Duvsha shel Torah is v'harevno. That is mesikus. That is the beauty of Torah. What is chelbo shel Torah? That's the last Gemara in Masechet Brochos. Ma'id chsiv ki mitz cholav yoytzi chemo. B'mi ato moitze chema shel Torah b'mi shemeki orleo cholav sheyonak mishdei yimoy. Chelba shel Torah is omor, it's yegia. When it comes to Torah, you need to put dvash before cholav. And that is our responsibility, to teach Torah in its unbelievable beauty. B'ched v'sidish maitze b'shashua b'simchas ha-Torah. And then we could really hope that our children will follow in our footsteps. V'harevnu Hashem Elokeinu es divrei torascho b'finu. V'nihi anachnu v'tzetzuenu v'tzetzu etzetzuenu kulonu yodi shemecha. It is unusual that one broch has two different parts, two different bakoshas. And this broch has two different bakoshas. And I say no. These two bakoshas are two sides of the very same coin. It is only if v'harevnu Hashem Elokeinu es divrei torascho b'finu that we could really hope and expect v'niya anachnu v'tzetzuenu v'tzetzoi tzetzuenu kulonu yoidei shemecha v'londei sarosecha l'shma. So Shavuos is about thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu shebaruch hu makro amen v'nosen lonu es teiraso. It is about rejoicing with Torah. And it is about feeling ashrechu bi-olam hazeh v'toiv lacho la'olam haba. Not only about olam haba, but about olam hazeh as well. Yerosin shechelkenu emoam, and we should always be zeicher together. La'agdal Torah la'adira, l'shtasheh b'divrei Torah, v'lo nekoshel b'dvar halacha, and you should have a beautiful Yom Tov, a good Yom Tov, and we should be zeicher leyom shekulei toiv, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shesend Moshiach tzedkeinu, b'mheru v'yomeinu, amen.